Drills Talk, episode 14. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 5 ways to build what Nipsey Hussle was building. This is based off a blog I wrote a year ago entitled Having Strong Enemies is a Blessing. Now, these are the famous alleged last words that was texted by Nipsey Hussle. That day I actually sat down and it was the day I write blogs and I actually wrote a blog. And you can read that. The link is in the description. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Please like, please comment, whatever it is that you would like to do. It's really appreciated. Let's get to it. Number one. Number one is leave ego out of it. So you're going into something that, a lot of people talk about in neighborhoods. A lot of people talk about, when I get together, I'm going to, rebuild my neighborhood or the hood, and I'm going to buy all these buildings. I'm going to get these people jobs. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to keep it clean. And to do all that, it has to be an egoless approach. You can't go through it or go to it as if, you're the savior of the neighborhood. You're going to, do it by yourself and you don't need any help, because that's not true. One, you definitely need help. Two, you know, you can't go into it as if you're doing the neighborhood a favor. If that's the case, then why are you doing it? You have to do it for good reasons. And the good reason is the young children that's going to be growing up there, the children who are already in the process of growing up, the people who can't afford, excuse me, can't afford to leave the neighborhood. That's who you're doing it for. You're doing it to be able to look at that neighborhood and say, I know what it looked like when I grew up here, and I know what I helped to, get it to. And that's what it's about. That's not exactly, and oh, well, without me, this neighborhood would look exactly the same as it looked when I was growing up. That's not the ideal. That's not the approach that you want to take. That's not the approach he took. And if, a lot of people tend to look up to him, which is, it's not a bad idea. What he did and what he promoted, towards the end of his life, even though it was a short life, was ownership and taking on responsibility and being there and supporting your people. And there's nothing negative in there at all. Yes, I understand that he grew up in gang culture. Yes, I understand that, maybe he went off on a couple of people every now and then. Maybe he didn't handle, paparazzi or people taking pictures all the time. Whatever. He was a human being. So, if that's the case, then nobody is nowhere near perfect. And if you have to have a perfect person to get something out of, then good luck with that in this world. So again, back to the egoless approach. You're gonna need a lot of help. You're gonna need a lot of patience. You're gonna need a lot of ability to, accept failure or accept, blocks and walls and mountains in front of you, because nothing worth doing is easy. And, the neighborhood was the way it's been for a reason. I'm not saying that nobody actually tried to do it before, but nobody has successfully done it. I know personally in Brooklyn, where I grew up, it took billionaires to come in, buy up a neighborhood, build a stadium, connect transit, for it to even, for even that neighborhood to change around. And, now, the neighborhoods around it are changing, but that took billions of dollars. And we're talking about a sole person or a small group starting with the idea of, pulling up their neighborhood. So it's a tall task. It's going to be a little stressful. It's going to be a lot stressful. And this is something that you're going to have to really want to do. It can't be for accolades. It can't be for anything selfish, because it will blow up in your face if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So again, number one, leave it out. The ego, no room for it. Number two, you must start small. So again, I brought up Brooklyn, how, they brought up the neighborhood. This thing was going on when I was in high school, was starting. You can see the trains connecting. They were still in the process of buying out neighborhoods. You didn't really know what was occurring until probably 4 years later, when they started clearing out room, and you're like, wow, what do they need all that space for? And then voila, Barclays Center, in the middle of the busiest place in Brooklyn, right off the bridge. And if someone knew the plan, one, it would have been more difficult to buy up the neighborhood because people would have, raised up their asking price, which makes sense. It's, a capitalist country. And some people just against gentrification, which is absolutely what it was, would have, spoke out very early to attempt to stop it and may have been successful. This is why, moving in silence can absolutely be a perk to you, and only you in your small circle knowing exactly what the large scale plan is, because there are people who will know of the plan or get light of the plan early and make it their business to make sure that doesn't happen. For some reason, people are built that way. So yeah, start small. What you want to do if you're in your neighborhood, you can start with a laundromat. It's a very common starting point. People usually don't have, or everybody in the neighborhoods or low income neighborhoods don't have washer and dryers or even washer and dryer connections in their home. So opening up a place that has both is a good start. And what that does is that brings in money that allows you to introduce yourself to people who are coming in and out, getting to know the people in the neighborhood, building a rapport with them, and they'll be more likely to frequent your next venture, which can be anything from maybe a convenience store if you're in a larger, inner city, or something like an after school program where these people who are coming in and washing their clothes are trusting you with their kids, and now you have access to the children to where you can pull them in the right direction before they get to the age of being pulled in the wrong direction. Things like this. But again, you have to start small. So you get with your team, or if it's just you right now, you sit down and you think and you brainstorm, what exactly is the plan? How am I going to start this plan? What type of money is needed to simply start? And, I start with the laundromat because that is probably the lowest barrier of entry in the inner city. You probably will rent a place on the start. If you can buy a small spot, 60 and 80,000, get a nice loan if you have decent credit, it's not a lot of money coming out of your pocket. Sometimes as low as 5 to 3%. So if you can do that, then do that. And then you borrow the money to buy the washer and dryers and open the store, keep it clean, keep everything professional, keep it safe, and customers will come. Now you're paying off that $60,000 in 2 years max. And now you have equity in that place. It's cleaner now. People are coming in, and if somebody's going to come in and apply a value to that place, it's going to be worth probably double what it was when you bought it. So now you have double the equity that you started out or would have thought you would have had when you paid it off. So let's say $120,000 in equity. You take that $120,000, maybe say half of it. I'm going to put half of it down. So that half down, if that half down that you're using is $60,000 and that's 5% of what you're going to buy, now you can have a huge place, a nice size place for your after school program or your convenience store or whatever other income producing place you're going to open next, while keeping 60 grand in equity for if something comes up, or if you have employees now. You have that cushion to where if income stops, you got 60 grand to hold you over on top of whatever credit you're building, because you have 60 grand in equity, which, I'll get into maybe in another drills talk, but, real estate can really get you in a good position, which I'll discuss in, I think, what is it? Number 4. So we'll get back to that. So again, starting small, get with the team, somebody you trust. If it's just you, it's just you, but write it down. Go over it every day, make it real, and say, okay, this is my starting point. This is my first step. Don't make your first step something that you have to jump up to. Make it comfortable. Make it a nice, easy first step, something that you can accomplish, something that you can give yourself confidence in accomplishing. So you can go ahead and maybe take that bigger step the next time. That's number 2. Number 3. Number 3 is to find good people. Now, with these good people, you want to be able to scout them, see who's the best, right? Weed out the people that are not going to help. You want to train them. You want to educate them. You want to be able to increase your ability to handle work coming in. So, of course, the more people you have, usually the more work you can accomplish. And that kind of goes into, okay, well, if we're all doing one thing, after a while, the number of people don't really matter. So if we're doing multiple things, like you do have your first place and you're working on opening your second place, this is where you're going to need the good people to where, okay, hey, this laundromat, because this is what we said was going to be the first thing. This is really kind of running itself. We probably only need one or two people there throughout the day to make sure everything is okay. Maybe coins get stuck, maybe coins get eaten, maybe some, a washer stops working and it's locked and it needs to be reopened or whatever. We only need one or two people there throughout the day. But this next project, this is where we need all the minds. This is where we need all the, the real help. And this is where you can say, okay, well, I don't have to worry about the laundromat as much because I know so and so and so and so are there. It can be a huge help. And this is what happens when you have great people around you. This is what happens when you spend the time in the beginning scouting out and picking the cream of the crop of people in your neighborhood or people just outside your neighborhood, maybe someone you went to school with, maybe someone that you went to an after school program or something with, maybe someone in the neighborhood that you've seen trying and maybe they just come up short over and over again. And okay, well, us together, maybe we won't come up short anymore. So those are the people that you want. The people that you don't need, you need to make sure that the people that you're bringing in also realizes that you don't need those type of people. And that's what comes with the whole training and educating. You're saying, okay, well, you have to treat this company. I know it's my company, but you have to treat this like it's yours because it belongs to their neighborhood. So treat it like it's yours. And if you do, if it was yours, would you bring in these type of people? No, you would not. So if you wouldn't bring in them, to your company, please don't bring them into mine. The better people we have, the better we're going to do. So once they understand that and they've bought in, now you have, a very slim chance of bringing in a bad apple. And, although it may happen anyway, you have to be quick in cutting those people out as soon as possible, because if they get in and they infiltrate, they can do way more harm than, them just being on the outside hating and pointing. Number 4. So we're getting back to the real estate. Now, real estate is super powerful. It's like credit on top of credit. It's basically saying that not only should you give me credit, now say I'm talking to the banks and people who lend money, not only should you give me credit, I'm ultra good for it because I have property that's just sitting on money itself. And that's what equity is. So if I have this laundromat that, has $120,000 in equity, I'm going to use 60, that's going to be my skin in the game towards you. You give me the other 95%, or you give me the other 90% if they, you're saying you're too new and we need you to put more skin in the game. Fine. Let's say, 90%. Okay, cool. Well, that's, 60,000. If 60,000 is 10%, you have $600,000 that your buying power is now. $600,000 can get you a huge place. $600,000 can not only get you a convenience store, but probably also some, residences on top of that. So you can have, I know in Brooklyn they're all over the place. You can have your, commercial property on the first floor, and then you can have 3-4 units on top, and now you're income producing. Or you can, find a large spot and you can open that after school program or that, that place where the kids can go to and it's a safe place, but it's huge and it's enough for every kid in the neighborhood. It's enough to, have parties there and make money when it's not being used as an after school program. So you got to think about these things and keeping your credit as good as possible, paying what you can pay, never being late. This stuff is ultra important when you're starting out because your business doesn't really have a credit profile. So they're going to be using yours. So the better your credit is, the better this, whole step-by-step thing that I'm giving you is to build what Nipsey Hussle was building. He had a lot of income from music and that helped him. But if you don't have that type of income, then you need your credit and you need the equity in the homes, which is what I'm discussing. So if you have your equity and your credit is decent, and decent credit would be, you try to stay in the 7s or up. If you're above 740, 750, then you're golden. And, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, especially with real estate that has equity within it. You can do whatever it is you want to do, and you can reuse that equity for each, time. So yeah, I have 60,000 in equity at Wells Fargo Bank. Okay, cool. You get the loan there. Okay, I'm gonna go here. Hey, I have $60,000 in equity in this place. Oh yeah, the same place. Okay, well here's this money, and you can do it over and over and over and over again because that's sitting there as basically cash in your bank account, and they're seeing that and they're saying, okay, well if something goes wrong, he has that money, and they all do the same thing. It's not like, oh well, you use that equity at Wells Fargo. No, it's not how it works. It's okay, that equity is still sitting there. You didn't use it as far as, cashing it in at Wells Fargo. You use it as, hey, I can pay you back if I needed to. And you can do that as many times as you want. Just think about having $100 in your pocket and asking people, hey, I need to borrow some money. It's the same $100. Yeah. How would they think that, okay, well, it's not going to work out and that $100 is not going to be at least a piece of something that can be brought towards me to fulfill the debt? It's just not the way they think. And if that's a surprise to you, then surprise, and please use it to your advantage, because that's how people get very, very wealthy. It's via real estate and credit. So maybe you should study a little bit on that after this video. And I'm glad I brought that to light. And if I did bring that to light, let me know in the comments and let me know how it works out. Number 5. Number 5 is to protect yourself and your circle. So we know, if you don't know, Nipsey Hussle was killed by someone pretty close in the circle. Like, they had pictures together where they posed and they were maybe 4 or 5 people apart. And the sad part is, it's like he didn't think that he would need security or it would be a problem being as touchable as he was. And of course, it's too late now, but he doesn't have to die for no reason, doesn't have to die in vain. And we can use his unfortunate occurrence and say, okay, well, maybe we shouldn't be as touchable. Maybe we shouldn't be as open. Yes, we want to help the neighborhood, but maybe we should have security. Maybe we should, not allow everyone to just walk up on the CEO or the head person of this huge movement, because if we lose that person, are we ready to carry on as if that person is still here? And I'm not saying that what he was building at his home is going to the wayside, but I haven't heard of it improving, meaning that it's kind of hard to not have the head of the guy. This is the guy. This is all the ideas, all the plans are coming from this guy. And now he's gone, and we're just going to carry on as if he's, still here, or what he would have done. We get it now. We know how to carry it on. That's not always the case. That's rarely the case. If you look at large companies or large family-owned companies, and the mother who ran the place or the father who ran the place dies, very rarely does that company continue to thrive. It's a very rare thing. So what you want to do is, again, go to number 3, is where you're scouting and you're training and you're educating people to not only be comfortable and build a rapport with you, but to know the company and know what some of the decisions are you would have made if you are killed or you do get sick and you go. Your dream or your goals can still go on. And, if that doesn't occur, you can then say, okay, well, I know at least there are no bad apples. And maybe someone over time, maybe a couple of months, maybe a year of struggle, can rise to the top and start running the company the way I would have ran it, or at least as good or close to what I would have done. Meaning that your dream of your neighborhood becoming one of the best neighborhoods instead of one of the worst neighborhoods in the city can occur. That happens with keeping bad apples away. That happens with training good people. That happens with getting security and not feeling bad about security. That, comes with not being as reachable as, you feel you should be, because this is your neighborhood and the people need you. There are other ways to do it without being physically present all the time. And I think that, of course, him being physically available made what happened possible, but the lack of security being there, even if security is usually there, they weren't there that time. And because this guy was in the circle, he would know that security is not there that time. It was just a mess. It sucks that it occurred. I don't like how it happened at all. I don't know like how it seemed to kind of like stick around and be a big issue for 2 months and then went away. It all kind of bothers me. But um, creating a barrier of entry to your excellent circle that you took the time to build, your excellent credit that you took the time to build, your real estate that now has equity that you took the time to build needs to be protected. It needs to be protected on a level that you're saying that, hey, this is basically a child. I'm going to protect this as I would protect a child. So this is something that we need to consider if we want to build something as Nipsey Hussle was building. If we want to walk down the streets of the neighborhood that we once were little kids running around and causing mischief, and now we can walk down them streets and they're as clean as a whistle. They have businesses thriving. There are people smiling. There are people jogging. There's kids playing. Adults walking dogs. Elderly walking, getting crossed by the younger adults. If you want that, you have to work for that. You have to plan for that, and you have to do these 5 things. And it's very important to maybe watch this video 1 or 2 or 3 times to get everything and grasp everything. And if you do have a question, feel free, ask in the comments, or you can go to my website, shoot me a message, a direct message, an email. There's a phone number there also. You can leave a message and I'll get back to you. But if this is something that you're trying to do and maybe you need a couple of pointers, I would be glad to, point you in the right direction. And if it gets to the point where it's too many people, say in the future, a couple of years from now, and this video is, a little old and I can't get back, I will create something, ebook or, a video or something getting in depth to exactly what I'm talking about now to help the people who want to do exactly what Nipsey Hussle did. So that was the top 5 ways to build what Nipsey Hussle was building. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's drills.com. Check this out. It's drills.